Hey, Steve. Assuming he's available, do you view tonight as a good opportunity to get Draymond maybe some more minutes at center, given Phoenix's situation at center?
Definitely a possibility.
Steve, I know you talked about Schroder after the game last night, but obviously the shooting percentages are what they are. It's been 5 games, I guess. Do you like the shot that he's taking? Do you like the shot that he's getting? Or is it maybe getting some different shots? What do you think's happening?
Typical come to a new team mid-season, no training camp. You don't get the terminology right away. You don't get the experience with your teammates. So he's still kind of feeling his way through. But he's so much more valuable to us than just a shooter. I mean, we put him on James Harden most of the night last night. He's an excellent on-ball defender. He's a point guard who can get you organized, and his shooting traditionally has been a little streaky, and it's so I'm not worried about that at all. I do think he's got to get more comfortable just with what we're doing, and vice versa, and that'll come. Hardly any practice time the last week, and so everything is just happening game by game, and that's not easy when you just arrive and get thrown into the fire. But I always trust the track record, not a very small sample size, so he's going to be fine.
Are you ready to play? Looks like you've been warming up.
Yeah, we're down a few guys tonight, so just getting loose, yeah.
And they're not that desperate, come on. Any sense of whether Draymond will be available, or what's sort of the latest?
Whether
Draymond would be available.
He's going to warm up and see. Moses is out, but Draymond will warm up and hopefully be ready to go. Steph is ready to go.
And how do you view? I mean, it's pretty rare to have 6 straight games and I think 10 or 11 days in a row at home. Obviously, comes at a time where you probably need it. I mean, trying to sort of stabilize things. How do you view sort of the opportunity of this homestand to have this many in a row at home? And you guys haven't been. I mean, I think you're 7-7 at home, so you really haven't been able to gain the traction like you have in the past.
Yeah, it's an important stretch for us for sure. We've kind of come back from that hot start. We've cooled off, obviously, considerably, and we're kind of back in the pack again. But you look at it big picture wise, we're only a couple of games out from being in the 4 or 5 seed, whatever it is, 5 I think. So we're not in a bad spot at all. This is all about us really rediscovering our identity. Last night was a good start in that direction in terms of the intensity defensively, the havoc we caused. That's what we did early in the season, which led to a lot of offense in transition, open threes. The game's connected. Our defense has to help our offense and vice versa.
Coach, going back to Paris, coaching Kevin, how there was a time where people were wondering if he was going to play or not. How did you evaluate things at that time and feel comfortable playing them? And then, 2, how has his game evolved in any way since his days here?
So the Paris part, you're referring to his injury? Yeah. That was, he was injured in Vegas, I think after the first practice or 2. And as soon as we got the report from the training staff that it was likely a 2-week injury, we knew it was a no-brainer to let him heal and on his own time. And even if we only had him for the last 2 games, he's Kevin Durant. So there was never a moment where we didn't think we were going to be without him. We just didn't know exactly when he was going to come back. But he's the greatest American Olympian of all time on the men's side. The style of play suits him perfectly. I think the USA basketball culture, the camaraderie with his fellow stars, I think he loves all that. And so, coaching him in Tokyo and then again in Paris, he's, and going way back to Oakland here, he is who he is. He's, to me, the greatest combination of size and skill that the league has ever seen. And he's still going strong at, whatever age he is now. He's still an unstoppable force. I don't think it's changed that much, frankly. I mean, I just feel like, after the first 4 or 5 years in OKC, where he really figured out where his shots could come from, and how to sort of take advantage of the NBA rules and the flow of the game. To me, he's been the same guy. Like, he's going to do what he does.
As a quick follow-up on him, obviously he's one of the greatest scorers of all time. What aspect of his scoring ability stands out to you the most, having been around him?
I think it's impossible to challenge his shot. I just, it's so rare when you see anybody actually bother the shot, and it's because of his incredible fluidity with his movement, combined with his skill, combined with his length. He just has a knack for kind of wiggling free, getting to his spot, and then rising up. And then, by the time he releases it, the ball's 10 feet in the air. It's like nobody's going to get to that.
And speaking of Kevin, how do you embrace the challenge then of trying to defend against him? And is it kind of special for you that when you get it's like a homecoming when you get a guy like Kevin coming back here?
Yeah, it's always great to see him. He has so much history here. It wasn't a long history, but it was a rich history. 3 years, 3 finals, 2 finals MVPs. That's never forgotten, and a lot of great times and a lot of stress, as well, and everything in between. But that's kind of the beauty of, a championship quest when you're on top of the mountain and you're fighting off all comers. There's so much that goes into it, so much emotion, and in the end, you always have those memories together. And now I've got a couple more great memories with 2 gold medals. Watching him in Tokyo and in Paris, and coaching him. I've been very blessed to have that opportunity. That's for sure.
Small set. How tough is it then for you to try to defend him when you say he's
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody tries to do the same thing. You just try to knock him off his spot and not let him get comfortable. And that's so you got to do a lot of work early. You can't let him just walk into shots. You got to be ready for help. But then you got to be ready to rotate because he's a good passer, and so there's a reason. Like I said, the reason he is who he is. He's unstoppable.
Steve, Jonathan last night, 4 dunks, 5 layups, attacked the rim like you want to see. But how do you get that kind of offensive force from him consistently when you guys are whole? When you have Steph, you have Draymond, because it seems like it's been a little easier for him without those guys on the
floor. It's like you were in our coaches meeting today. No, that's the question. The downhill, both on and off the ball. And off the ball is even more important. What I saw from JK, sprinting the floor, sprinting the wings, running through the catch. BP had a cross-court pass to him that JK, was running forward, caught it, and laid it in. At times, that play is a catch on the perimeter. We need that run-through. And when he does that, it's unstoppable. I thought last night was his best game since he's been here at that particular dynamic that you're talking about. The force and the pace of his running and his movement and constantly going towards the basket. He had the baseline cut when Wiggs found him, the bounce pass for the dunk. So that's the next step for JK and for us. How can we get him to do that consistently? And can he do that when he's on the floor with Steph and Draymond and not getting the ball as much? I know he can. I thought last night was a great indication of that. And so we're going to keep plugging away. And I have no doubt he's going to get there. Like, this guy is, he works hard and he's talented and he wants it. It's just nothing more than experience and feeling all this stuff. But it's doesn't happen right away.
Sort of a natural follow-up to that. He had 14 free throw attempts last night. And you guys historically, I don't think, have gotten to the free throw line enough for a lot, as much as you want to, right? How much of a asset can that be when he gets to the line that much? And he made most of them, I think 11 for 14.
Right. And so there's a there's kind of a domino effect of everything. You know, Steph being out meant he had the ball in his hands way more than he would normally. So can we get the ball in his hands more, even when Steph and Draymond are on the floor? If so, what does that require? It requires awareness and you know, understanding of what, you know, Steph's gravity, what's he doing on the weak side, moving the ball quickly. So it's all part of the growth of JK and of our team, and for us as a staff trying to get that balance between, you know, giving JK the space and the opportunities, but also leaning into Steph and the movement and the flow, and you know, putting all that together is the biggest challenge. But that's what we're shooting for.
One more Kuminga question: is there a model of a player that you can either mention to him or you guys talk amongst themselves that he can do kind of that? Aaron Gordon is someone, you know, maybe because the way he plays off of Jokic, the way it's a secondary move that turns into a primary move. Do you have other examples of something in your mind that right now, when he's on the floor with Steph, could be some kind of model for him?
Not really. You know, we talked about it a little bit early in his career, but I think he's very unique to himself, and every player kind of has to find his own game and his own identity. And it's not easy. You know, when you get thrown into the fire in the NBA without having a lot of experience, either in college or growing up. And so this whole process has been largely based on exactly what you're talking about. You know, who is he? What is he as a player? Last night, to me, was the example of who he's got to be with the force, with the constant sprinting, using that incredible athleticism when he doesn't have the ball. And we talk about it, and we're going to keep hammering that home. If he can get consistent with that, I have no doubt he's going to take off, and I'm excited about that.
With one of those plays you mentioned, with him running through the catch, I think I know what you're talking about, but I feel like Utah was really good at that a few years ago with Snyder. Are there ways to manufacture that kind of advantage with scheme?
Yeah, and you know, we work on that all the time, and that's you know, he's probably more capable of using that dynamic than anybody because of his power and his force. Jordan Poole was pretty good with that, you know, running through the catch. You know, no matter how fast the guy who's guarding you is, if you're running this way and I'm running that way, you know, I can create separation, you know, but you add to that a world-class athlete like JK with that force of momentum coming downhill, running through the catch. It's pretty dynamic. So yeah, we work on it. We work on it a lot.